Hi everyone. I am so excited because I get to speak with Lauren K. Denton again. I think this is our third talk, I think
Yeah.
at least. And look at the book we're talking about just came out like 2 weeks ago. I'm getting weird, like it's like the lettering's looking weird on my screen. Hopefully not up on your screen, but
It looks
anyway,
good.
your covers are always so beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I think so too. I think I've gotten really lucky with my
Oh my
covers.
gosh. I know. I was looking back at them today and I
Yeah.
was like, I mean, these colors are always so, they have a theme. Like they're all, I don't know, even though they're about
Yeah.
different stories, they kind of have the muted but then beautiful like coloring on the bottom. And
Yeah.
yeah, you
We
can,
didn't plan that. That just sort of was a happy accident that they do sort of go together a little
they
bit.
really do. Even the first one. Show yours because you've got the hardcover. I want to see if I can see the coloring. Yes, see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little different.
It is a little bit brighter on the road and the
Right. Right,
flowers
right.
and
And if you see it on the screen, like if you're looking at the little blip on Amazon or whatever, it's super bright. It's like bright orange and bright purple, and it's so pretty.
it really is. I
Yeah.
love your covers so much. And this
Thanks.
book, I love this book. I was so excited when I get this book. Whenever I get one of your books, I'm like, I know what I'm in for. And I'm like,
Oh,
yes. Oh,
oh,
I
that's
get to
great.
like
I
just
love that.
relax into a story because I read a lot of intense books.
I
Okay.
bet you do. Yeah.
And so when I get a book like this, I'm like, yes, yes, I just get to read a family story. No
Oh,
one, no drama outside of like normal family
right.
drama. No, no intense feelings, but but
Right.
but touching,
Yeah.
touching,
Well,
touching.
good.
You're really good at like relationships
Mm,
and really getting into these characters. And of course,
thank
like
you.
I loved Jesse so much.
Oh,
Like,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
glad.
I was a single mom, so I totally like right away connected with her.
Mhm.
And I've had teenage daughters, so I connect with that aspect. But
World.
you had her being really smart about her daughter, I thought.
I I tried, and I don't have a teenage daughter. I have two young girls, and so people who don't know me well have said, "So, do you have experience with teenagers?" Said, other than me being a teenager at one point, I hope that I can. I like how Jessie handled her teenager and their relationship, and it makes me have hope that my daughters and I can have that a similar good, solid relationship. That's a friendship too. So
Yeah.
I liked it.
I don't know. I was like thinking, I wish I would have read this like, 10 years, 15 years ago.
Oh God. Well, maybe it'll help me down the road
I
I
really
have
think
two daughters, so it's gonna be a lot of drama.
yes. Yes, my daughters are my middle. I have two boys, two girls, two boys. So my two
Oh,
daughters are in the
wow.
middle. And
Okay.
their relationship, they're 4 years apart.
Yeah.
So it was, those teenage years, it was completely different. I was dealing with different age groups. But it's funny because they'll come back now and be like, well, if you would have been like this, well, if you would have done, I'm like, I know, well, in a perfect world, yes.
Yeah. If I had been perfect, I would have done
I would
that.
have done that. But
Yeah.
I did love how she kind of just, first of all, her daughter's name is Evan,
Evan.
which
Mhm.
I love because that's another thing you do with your characters. You give them such unique names.
Oh, well, thanks. I was a little worried about Evan going over well because I know it tends to be more of a boy name, but it just popped in my head and I thought it fit her. I thought it fit her personality.
First of all, you guys like in the South, you Southern writers, like you are all so good with names because us in the North, like we're so like stuck on these like traditional names, okay? And that's why when I read your books and I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't know, you love different names
Yeah,
and but not that they're so different that you can't. I think like Jesse, you didn't do it to every character, but
sure.
but the grandma's Gus, okay?
Yes, yes. But I know a few people with the name Augusta, but I thought it, and that's her full name, but I thought of Gus first. And I thought, well, that's just perfect for her.
Oh,
But then I remembered Augusta, and I thought, well, that's a perfect nickname for Augusta. So I'll give her a nice, pretty name, but shorten it to Gus.
exactly. And it did fit her. And
Yeah,
all the mother daughters, because we got three generations of women, which just, that's,
bit of everything.
it's awesome. I love that. I mean, my mom was alive. She died in 2011. So
Okay.
my daughters were a little, they were in their teenage years, late teenage years. And so we only got to experience that on a very little bit.
Sure.
But I did have my grandmothers, and my grandmothers were young. And,
Yeah.
I remember one time, because it's there's something about your maternal grandmother, right?
Yes. My maternal grandmother, I grew up with them living on a red dirt road similar to this. So I put a lot of them in this story, even though my grandmother was not like us at all, except she liked to bake. She made good cobbler.
Well, I remember, my maternal grandmother lived in Florida, but we saw her all the time. They would come north a lot. And I remember when I got older and I had my own kids, I was having my own kids, and I said something, my mom was doing something crazy with her life. She always was crazy. And I remember saying to my grandmother, like, oh my God, what is wrong with her? She's losing her mind. And she turned around and she said, don't you ever talk about your mother bad to me.
Ooh,
and I was like,
good for her.
I know, because here I'm thinking we've got this like connection
yeah.
outside of my mom, and it was like she put me in my place. I was like 29. Okay.
That's really neat, because that was her daughter. That was her baby you were talking about, even though you're another baby of hers. But
I thought I was more important. I was not more important.
That's hilarious.
But I was thinking about that with this book, because I was thinking about Gus's relationship with Evan and whether you can bypass that mom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I think Gus was tough. I think she would stand up for Jesse because she knows what Jesse's been through.
That is exactly what I was going to say, because I think that you have more perspective of your daughter than your grand, like she knew what Jesse'd been through, and being a single mom to Evan. So if Evan was going to criticize her in that way, you know, but
oh, that's really neat.
But that's what I love about, as I'm reading these, that's what everybody's doing, is that they think about their own relationships and their own moms and their own grandmas. And then, you just hit every generation so well.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I've really this is the second time I've done this kind of the span between the generations, and I really like it. I like having, especially with this one, with all three of them, I really liked having Gus's wisdom and her age compared to Evan, and then Jessie kind of stuck in the middle I think Jessie kind of still, there's a lot in her life that made her still feel young with Ben showing back up and remembering those things, but then also feeling kind of the burden of being a single mother and being on her own. And I just like that sort of range of maturities and wisdoms. It was a lot of fun to explore.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll just start at the beginning, because I have so much written down.
Okay.
I'm looking at the time and I'm like, okay, I'm never going to get through all this. So I love the title. The covers are absolutely always, but Glory Road, I love the thought of a neighborhood, but not, and I'm in the north, so I can't think of, I've got a very small, but I think about, I lived in a small town, and this is a section, isn't this a section of even a smaller?
Yeah, it's outside the town. I see them, so my grandparents lived in a small town, really small, outside. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama. They were right outside Mobile. And we called it, growing up, out in the country. Me, Mom, Papa are out in the country. And my mom grew up there. And so I think she probably was a little well, we're not that country, but that's just where they lived. And I think the dirt road kind of helped that. So yeah, I wanted these ladies to be living in a small town, Perry, but then kind of on the outskirts, so that they even more felt just not remote, but just kind of a quiet, kind of their own. Glory Road was its own little community, just coming and going. And obviously, she would have had customers from other places, because one road's worth of customers can't keep you going. But I liked the idea of them sort of being their own little community, little network.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was because of her store, I'm okay, well, it had to spread out a little bit, because, she's got to keep in business somehow.
She's got to pay bills, keep the lights on.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just thinking, okay, let me start with the beginning. Okay. My head is going all over the place, because I just finished this book, and I'm there are so many great parts, and I'm don't forget to tell her this. Don't forget to tell her that. So you start the beginning off with Jessie. Okay. And I'm going to just read because I have written down, read the last part of the first section. So
Oh, that's great. I love this.
I know. So I do. Behind me in the house, the phone rang. Evan answered it, paused, and then groaned. Gus, it's too early for your singing. I smiled. It wasn't perfect, but it was good.
Yes. Oh.
And right when I read this first chapter, I'm like, yes, Lauren, I'm so in. You've got me.
Bad.
I always feel like that's so important to just get, to hook you into, like, her contentment, with the store, with her life. It's like she's in a very contented place, but I love when Gus says to her several times in the book, like, I know we should have written it down. Something about don't forget about the magic, or
Yeah, she needs a little magic in her life.
Little magic in her life, and I love that because it's like spiritual,
right?
It's like a little bit of spiritual, and I forget that. I forget to look for that.
Yeah, and I think Gus wanted. I had Gus clarify later, especially when these two men were in her life, that the magic, she's not talking about these men. She didn't know if these men were going to amount to anything. She just wanted to see her daughter, to see that there was a possibility of something more than just her being here on this road for the rest of her life, on her own. Just to kind of be open to what life might bring her.
Yeah, because sometimes we think that we're headed down. She was like, I have this little store, which was her dream. Okay,
right.
The gardening thing. So she got that, and so I feel like that's why I say she was in a contented place. She wasn't, she wasn't with her husband, who wasn't nice to her anymore. Right. So she's on her own with her daughter. Her mom's right down the road, and so she was like just like this, and her mom. It's almost like her mom was like every new businesses, you just never know. You don't know what's there.
Yeah. Yes, I like that. That's where that wisdom comes in, I think, of having somebody outside of your perspective saying, hey, why don't we just widen these doors a little bit and see kind of what happens.
Yeah. So when you were I think the last time I talked to you, you were in the process of writing this, or at least at some point, because you're doing.
I probably was. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a book a year, right?
Yes. And that is, I had told myself, I'm not going to be one of those book a year authors who can do that. And I have found that I can work it well with my kids' school schedule, to where I can be working during the school year and then finish it so that I'm not having to be in the deep creative stuff in the summer when they're home with me all the time. And so it's worked. So yes, I've had 3 in a row, and I actually will have another one coming out next year. Pushed back, it'll be a little bit farther into the summer, but I guess I'm just going to keep cranking them out.
I think you should. I think it's working. Okay.
Thanks.
And it is, you're so inspiring for moms who are in that situation where their kids are off to school, and it's kind of like a, what should I do? I mean, that's kind of where I got myself too. It's like, what do I do now? And it's like, your kids aren't even too old that you're like, oh my gosh, you're like doing this now. And can you imagine when they're, older, you'll be doing 2 or 3 a year. It'd be nice.
Well, sometimes when I say I don't want to do 2 or 3 a year, but sometimes I see these authors who are really cranking books out, and I think they can't have little kids at home, or if they do, they know some secret that I have not been clued in on yet. But it's hard. I've met a couple of other authors who are sort of in the same stage of life here with young children, and just trying to find that balance between writing and kids and groceries and all that. And I mean, you can make it work. It just takes a lot of creativity. Well, in the book and in how to manage your life.
Yeah, because I do think that, having been at the sending your kids off to school, as long as sometimes those days seem, I'm sure for you, it's like they're back.
Absolutely. Yes. They are back like 5 minutes after I sent them out the door. Yeah. I try to pack a lot in those 7 hours. And it's not all writing. I mean, if I can get 2 or 3 hours of solid writing in, that's a win for me, because then I have to go to the grocery store, and I've got to exercise, and I've got to make the beds or whatever, to keep the house going and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And your business, I mean, you got social media, you've got to
Yeah.
keep up on. I mean, I think it's awesome for you guys. I really do. I think social media is such an amazing thing because back in the day, people didn't even know what the author looked like except for the back of a book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
So
It's free marketing.
Yeah, you do get to connect with your readers and the readers love it. But
Yeah.
it also means that when you're doing that, you're not writing. Like, I'm always so appreciative because when I see you guys on social media, I'm like, I know you have to do that part, but I also know that you'd rather be like, I'm in the middle of a story. Or, sometimes you guys will text me and be like, I can't talk today. And I'm like, I get it. I'm on deadline. Can't talk. Can't even,
Yeah. Things pop up. But it's funny, the social media thing, like, you and I never would have connected if it hadn't been. I mean, there's so many readers that I've connected with and Bookstagrammer people and book blog people that are just we're all book people. So we all like each other and have things to talk about. And so that's been really fun. Yes. But I do have to put pretty strict limits on myself because you can, as everybody knows, you can go down the rabbit hole of the big black hole in the internet and not dig out for a few hours. So I have to set a limit on the time I spend doing that. Because it's important, but it does take away from other things. It's just trying to find the fine line in the middle.
Yes. And I'm on, like, you're writing and I'm trying to read and be on social media. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've only got 6 hours today and I've got to read this and I got to do an interview and I've got to,
It's the same thing. I mean, you've got to get through these books because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And but then you got to talk about them too.
I got to talk about them and then I got to figure out tomorrow's book. But I'm one of those that I know there are readers out there that are like, I read 3 books today. I'm like, I don't even know how that, I like to read the book. Yeah. I like to read it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you speed read? So you don't speed read?
Not much.
I hear about people. I want to enjoy a book when I read it too.
And especially a book like this. Like, there's no way I want to speed read through this book. If people are dying, maybe, then I'm speed reading.
Sure. You can skip through some of those pages.
Then I'm good. But, I'm so happy that do you have a title for the next book yet?
No, I don't really. I haven't turned it into my editor yet. It's due on my kids' last day of school. I pushed the deadline until the very last day they get out of school. But I really like it. I think it's going to be good. I'll tell you more about it later once it gets a little more solidified. But right now it's fluid, but I like it. It's another, has 2 different ages of people. So that's just becoming really fun for me.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, I love the way you do relationships. And, I love that I sit there and reminisce. I mean, we all want to do that, right?
Yeah.
You want to, remember that. And, and some of it even in the present. But I love that your books make me think back to those times. And
I'm glad to hear you say that. I love that. I love it when books do that for me, too.
Yeah.
Kind of think back over your life and things, people you've known. I think that's really fun.
But then right in the present, like I said, about the magic and the hope, because we all need a little, like I said, I even need to think that way. I'm like, like just to have an older, I don't feel like I have that older, I am the grandma now,
Right.
Like that's
you probably still feel like the one in the middle there.
I do, but I'm not. I'm the grandma now. And I was visiting my daughter. She has 3 kids. And I don't know if you guys do this in the South, and then I'll let you go because I see the time.
That's okay.
But I was holding the baby. She has a baby, a 7-month-old baby. And I said, aye, because we do that, like, like hug. Like, it's like you lay them on your shoulder and you go, aye, right? And my grandson looks at me and he says, you can't be the aye person. Mommy is the aye person.
That's not your job.
And I said, who do you think was the original person that showed your mommy how to, he was all confused. He's 4, but it was just, I was like, right, because, and then it like hit me, like I'm that person now. I'm the grandma, So
I know, and everybody says
grandma. Like,
everybody says I'm gonna blink and my kids are gonna be, I don't know, having their own babies or something.
I know, and it's bittersweet because people say with babies, when you watch moms with babies in the grocery store, don't you want to say to them, oh my gosh, you're going to blink? Because you see them be like frustrated because their kids aren't paying attention or, are crying. And don't you just want to be like, you're going to blink and they're going to be 10?
Well, yes, because my daughter is 9.5 and I look at her and think, how in the world are you? She just seems so mature. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she was just a 2-year-old sitting on the top of the grocery cart. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then I just know now, like, I think, oh, but it's that way. That is life, though. The teens, you blink, and they're over. The 20s, my second son is turning 30 this week. Like
Yeah.
you
Wow.
blink and they're 30. Like he was just
Sure.
20.
Yeah.
And
It does
was,
so fast.
So every stage is just a blink, you know, basically.
Right. And every stage is good, and has difficulties too. So
it is. Not that I don't mind giving my daughter the baby back.
There you go. Oh, diaper change. Your turn.
She's crying. Here, you make her stop crying.
I'm going to read my book now.
I know, right, exactly. Well, thank you so much. I love talking to you, and I love reading your books so
Thank you
much.
so much.
They're so touching, and here we go. And she's got the hardcover there, and these books are just. Let me see the binding, because I love the bindings of books. I love that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? That's what you see in your bookshelf. So
right.
You'll see back of it. You know?
And I think yours, you have the advanced copy, so it's a little pixelated. Is it? Or can you tell just on the spine?
That's why when I saw yours, I'm like, wait,
that's different.
So I'm going to put the IndieBound link so you can support your local bookstore. I also put Amazon. You can get the Kindle and in the hardcover. And I'm so happy that I got to read it. I cannot wait till your next one. I know you're saying like, only a book a year, and I'm like, only a book a year. Okay, fine, we'll wait.
Yeah. I gotta put the brakes on there.
I know, but I can't even imagine what you're gonna be writing when those girls are out of school. Like, because I swear your books get better, and I know, like, I've read it. Like when I went back to Amazon, people were saying that, and I totally agree. Like,
Thank you so much.
It's gonna happen, right? I mean, that is that's the point, right?
That's the hope that you do keep getting better. But it's nice to hear.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking with me. You have a great day, and you know where to find me for the next one. Okay.
We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.